it's about to start pouring, and what I'm supposed to be doing is getting prepared for my daughter's 5th birthday party. I can't believe she's 5. We're about to have 10 kids in our house because it was supposed to be an outdoor party, but rain happens. Anyways, instead of preparing for that, I want to dig in some plants so that God can water it in for me. Let me show you what I'm planting and where. This is Proven Winners Cat's Pajama Nepeta. I've been wanting to add this to my garden for so long. I wasn't sure how it did. So last year I went ahead and ordered one to see how it would do, and I'm happy to report that it did perfectly great. It was beautiful all season long, just as advertised, which is what I want to see in the garden. You want to be adding perennials that do well in your climate, in your soil, and put on a show all season long, and this one really did it for me. It is a lower growing nepeta. It doesn't flop over or get super wide or unruly, which I've had with other nepetas before. It still has that beautiful bloom. Since I know that this one did really great in the garden, I had no hesitation picking up 5 more and now creating a drift. That's kind of how I decide which perennials I drift or not. It's about a 2-year process. Year 1 is buying a small one, seeing how it does in the garden. Year 2 is going all in and getting them all. So let me show you where I'm gonna put this drift. So I am out here in my front yard. I normally don't film out here because the neighbors are gonna think I'm crazy, but since it's about to rain, nobody's outside, which is amazing. I have a drift here. I've got some David Austin roses, I've got some other fun things, and a drift of panicle hydrangea. So normally a common companion plant for roses is nepeta. They're beautiful together and they play beautifully together. I want to plant the nepeta instead in front of some dwarf panicle hydrangeas. These hydrangeas don't bloom until later this summer. I really want to have some color in this bed earlier in the season. I'm going to do that by underplanting with nepeta. I always like to lay out the cans first and step back to make sure the spacing looks okay before planting. Now let's get planting. The bed that I'm planting in here was sheet mulch last year. As I'm moving away the mulch, you might see bits and pieces of cardboard, but what you won't see is Bermuda grass, which, if you know, is really hard to get rid of. So I'm really happy that this sheet mulching worked out and I'm able to plant this year. Also, watch how effortlessly nepeta rolls down a hill. It's really amazing. It just goes and goes. I'll get that later. So my philosophy with gardening is to work with what you got. If you live in a region with clay soil, plant things that can do well in clay soil. So you might be asking yourself, Michelle, how do you know it grows well in clay soil? And one, you can try, buy, plant, and see, or you can follow me on social media or other gardeners in the Southeast. I'm sure they will freely share with you as well what's worked well in their gardens and what hasn't. But you can see, this is some good old Georgia clay. Let's go rescue that nepeta so we can talk more about planting in clay soil. So I don't typically amend the soil with anything, the philosophy, work with what you got, but this plant wasn't very root bound, so I went ahead and knocked off the excess soil, and now I'm just mixing it in with my native soil, so it's kind of gonna have a buffer region from, canned soil to native soil. Arguably, the most important thing to do when planting in clay is to plant above the soil level. So you want to make sure that the crown of that perennial is higher than the soil level. It feels weird, but trust me, it's better for drainage. Now I'm just covering it back up with mulch and moving on to the next one. As a side note, don't you wish everything could just be fast forwarded, especially when you have that hole that you're trying to dig that's got that rock or that root in it and you're about to lose your mind because you just want to plant this and be done with it? You just need a fast forward button so that it makes it look super easy. But the process is the same. I'm digging out a hole the same width or a little bit wider than the can, knocking off the excess soil, mixing it in, placing the plant, firming the soil around it, making sure the crown is higher than the soil level, putting back the mulch. And here's my tester from last year. I bought it as a quart size, so it's a little smaller. It's not as far along because it wasn't grown as a greenhouse, but you can see lots of buds. It's about to explode. This is why I planted a whole drift of them. I can't believe I got them in the ground. They're gonna look so good this spring and summer. They're one of those constantly reblooming perennials that just are a workhorse in the garden. I wish I could say I got them in before the rain, but I'm absolutely soaked. So I'm gonna go inside, clean off, and actually get ready for this birthday party like I was supposed to. Hope you have an amazing day. Hope you do some crazy things and get some joy in your life too. I think I've done crazier things, but I can't think of them right now. So have a blessed day. Bye.